Hello, long time no video, and been going through an intense journey on a personal level, um, literally going thousands of miles and experiencing things in a very different way to what my mind expected, especially being in Mexico. And all my energy was just taken up with that process and that journey. So happy full moon and an amazing, intense start to coming out of the centre of the Tzolkin today. So today is Sunday, the 9th of October. And yeah, I've been struggling to stay in the time zone as well, as in the regular calendar, the Gregorian calendar. So here we are. We're in the blue in the final chapter, the 13 days, and another intense 10 portals coming up here. And this is going to take us to the end of Libra, ready for going into the yellow castle and Scorpio energy and the eclipse season. So I'm not going to talk about that in this video because we're not there yet. But I know you all know that as soon as we go into that Scorpio energy, it's always a big portal time, especially with the eclipses as well. So how can it get any more intense? Are you being tested? Are you struggling to stay in your centre? And as we went into the centre of the Tzolkin, so remembering we began here on the 19th of May, and we've gone in through the red castle of awakening, we've been through the white castle of refining. At the moment, we're in the blue castle of transformation, beginning with the first 20-day process of what the Great Mother is bringing us for our evolution, to release us from survival mode so that we can thrive. And then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the seventh column, the central column, the spinal column, is what we've just transited out of, where we're in white mirror wave spell to begin with, and went right into the centre of the Tzolkin with white cosmic dog, which is the epicenter. And the epicenter, of course, is about releasing old family ancestral wounding pattern to be in a place of unconditional love, truly and deeply from within. That's the key to everything. So it's not an intellectual process, it's a deep embodiment process. And then where we have gone from there is into Blue Monkey and revisiting our childhood, seeing how emotionally free we are and how much freedom we can actually live, how we can walk our talk and live it. And remembering that we're in a giant mystery school, we're in a holograph, our own shared stage holograph, where everybody's doing their own personal trip as well. So we've got the shared universal game plan, we've got our individual personal holograph. And when we take radical responsibility for our own journey, we remember that everything in our journey is in response, is a reflection to our belief system, and is coming direct from the universe, which we are, to allow us to go to the next level. And that's what today's card is all about. Greater cycles, going to the next level, number 9. So number 9 in the last cycle, Blue Monkey is here, and it was Blue Solar Storm. And so could we stay in the eye of the storm and keep our head when everybody else is losing theirs? And remember, to do that, we have to do lots of acceptance, coming into peace of our journey so far. And if you watch my videos, you'll know I use emotional freedom technique for that. So tapping and releasing, feeling those emotions that have been trapped in our childhood story and our repeating story of that happens over and over again. The 4th house in our star code chart, we just keep going round and round and re-experiencing those original childhood stories. That's the blue monkey process, to become clear, to become transparent. And then to move beyond that by cherry picking all those trigger points that we have. Those emotional triggers always show us where there is an emotional story to be released from the amygdala. And so in doing that, we free ourselves up to create something new. If we don't do that process, then the universe keeps bringing it to us, and often the lessons get more challenging and louder because we're not paying attention, we're not changing our behaviour, we're not healing, we're not responding, we're hiding or numbing out or opting out or running away or whatever we do to avoid the process. But yesterday we had Pluto going direct at 26 degrees of Capricorn. And so again, if you add 6 and 2 together, 28, 8 is the number of integration again. So Pluto is the final call. We get opportunities to change. And again, you can see this very much in your chart with Saturn. Uranus brings light to situations where we can rewire and do something new and rework our storyline. And of course, today, the full moon in Aries. So we're seeing what is manifest for us as that Aries individual, the warrior, the human being, the adventurer, the child, the ego, the Mars-driven character who's out there on the land at the spring equinox time. Persephone comes out of the underworld, and then we have 6 months above ground where we are living our legacy. We're living the reality of what we are experiencing on the inside and projecting on the outside, and the holographic experience which we are co-creating with the universe. So at this full moon, the full moon's at 16 degrees of Aries, having a look at where that is in your chart. Big emphasis on Chiron at this time. And so it's highlighting things that we haven't healed, repeating storylines around that, what isn't going away, what's getting louder, what's getting bigger, so we can evolve. And opposite the sun in Libra, opposite Venus in Libra as well. So again, where do we need to come into balance with our shadow story? Libra, the autumn equinox, the time when Persephone goes down into the underworld and spends 6 months with Hades doing the inner work. That is the real key, doing the inner work, so that we can create a shift for the spring equinox in the next cycle. So we're in this 260-day cycle of Taurus, and what is manifest? What have we created? At the moment, we are in the blue castle, so we're seeing the culmination of where we've been so far in the red, in the white, and what we're looking to transform. And so in yellow seed, we're seeing how much of our star seed is manifest in our day-to-day reality, not just in our head, not an ideal, but how we are actually living that now. So how much drama is going on? Are we in a storm situation? And I know people that I know have been very adversely affected by literal storms, and what that means for them, how ungrounding that can be, how destabilizing that can be, and also how much information it can bring as well for us as to what we value, what we love, what's important. Sometimes what we take for granted too. It can be a reminder of our mortality, how short life really is. Even if we get a long, full life, it's still short and flies by faster and faster. And how we can really use this lifetime to go to the next level and another cycle. So today's fourth card is the Empress. Beautiful card. Coming into sovereignty, coming into maturity. And again, we've got the sign there of the swan, which is very much connected to Libra energy and Arcturus energy. And coming into that softness and that profound goddess energy of embodiment, free of self-harm, free of conditioning around needing to sacrifice or harm ourselves in any way. And sometimes that's so deeply embedded, it takes a lot of work to free ourselves from it. So again, the more we know ourselves, the more that we can look at our behaviour and our life so far and free ourselves from judging ourselves as well, so that we can be gentle with ourselves in how we view ourselves. And as a result of that, we can do that with other people as well. So it all begins at the point of I and focus on I. It's all that inner focus and healing and changing. And when you look back on your life, sometimes I know we can be very overly critical as women as well. And we're programmed to do a lot of things in our society generally. And often this means spreading yourself very thin in areas, and often not really focusing on our journey and our dream because we have too many other demands for our attention. Until eventually, though, the universe gets our attention one way or another and says it's time to be your beautiful starseed self and to release your gift, what you came here for at this time. Because why not? What's stopping us from doing that? Only ourselves. It's only ourselves ever stopping us, even though we may feel it takes the form of other forces stronger outside of ourselves. The truth is, it's just a reflection of our personal story in some way. And the star at this time as well, it's featured here, is so key to this. Just going to pause this a minute. So again, today, something that's highlighted for me is the fixed star of Alpharaz falling in the head of Princess Andromeda. And again, if you're familiar with that story, being rescued from this awful fate with the sea monster, Perseus and Pegasus coming to her rescue, and realizing how that story in itself has moved on, so that Princess Andromeda's job now is to rescue herself by coming into her masculine. So yes, again, you could connect that to the devil card in tarot as well. We make our own chains and our own addictions and our own mindsets, belief systems that limit us in some way. But at this full moon, this is a time for really coming into our power, into freedom, into living our truth, speaking our truth, the fire energy, the warrior with that fire in their heart that is saying, okay, so what have I learned, over the last 6 months out on the land? What do I really need to look at now around my own personal journey, so that I can use the sword of truth that I discovered in the white mirror in the center? What was in my holograph then, where I can see there's work to be done, because there's something showing up on my world stage and it's a repeating theme for me, and I would really like to let it go, and I know that I can let it go now. So as we go down the next few days, today is not a portal and tomorrow is not a portal. So tomorrow we go back into Red Serpent, which is the beginning of this 52-day cycle, and it brought us with the 10 days. So again, if you look back 20 days ago and what you were experiencing then, because remember, these bring up akashic experiences so that we can see them and so that we can experience them on a deeper level. And whatever the moon story is about that, what was the new learning about your moon story of relationship 20 days ago? So let's see where that is actually on. I've got my phone here, we're just going to check on my calendar. So we're on the 9th, aren't we, today? So the 16th of September, what was happening for you back then? So before we'd gone into the equinox, where were you at that time? What were you experiencing? And how was it making you feel? How are you replaying something in time? In terms of the Mayan moons, we have 13 Mayan moons, and we begin a new series of 13 moon energies in the same way that we do the spiral on the same day as the Mayan New Year. So this is a difference. The 13 moons always begin on the 26th of July of the year, along with the Mayan New Year. This spiral because it's a 9-month spiral, a 260-day spiral, it begins on a different date with different astrology and takes us through a 9-month gestation evolution process. And so 26th of July, we began magnetic moon, and we had 28 days of that. And then we went into lunar moon, which was a 28-day period of new learning. And we're now on electric moon, and we're on day 20 today. So again, at this time of year, every year, with the equinox, with Libra. So again, that corresponds with what I've just said. I've just realised that speaking it out loud. So this goes back to when red serpent began. And so we've been working through this alchemy for this 52-day process. And this 52-day process is of relationship. How do I relate to myself? Libra is the 7th zodiac sign. So it's the 7th house in a traditional zodiac. And so it is bringing ourselves into balance. Once we've gone through the first 6 months, the first 6 signs of the zodiac, then we bring ourselves into balance. Remember, the scales are the only non-animate object. And in Egyptian wisdom, this is the weighing of the heart as well. So when we pass from this world to the next, our heart will be weighed and needs to be as light as a feather. So no heavy hearts, no carrying burdens, knowing that we have had an open heart and loved in this lifetime. That's the key. So remember, each 52-day cycle follows on from the previous one. And so it begins with Red Dragon, which is what the Great Mother, the goddess, is bringing us for our evolution, to free us from our mother's fear stories. And then once we've done that first 52-day in the red, we go to Red Skywalker, which we're refining then how to create heaven on earth through us as a human being with what we've learned in the red. We're then refining it. And then in the blue, we go to the next level, and that's Red Serpent. And so how do we relate? How is our Kundalini flowing in our body? And so as we come into completion, we'll go into Red Earth. And that's how we live as a human being on planet Earth. How grounded are we? How comfortable are we in Gaia? So the other stage 9, going with this card that I just mentioned, going to the greater cycles. So another way to look at this, I mean, you can look at it however you wish. This is how I interpret it. So we get to number 9 here, which is going to be yellow human. And again, all of these cross-reference back. So this is key for me because it's a burner day. So every 64 days, you have a repeat of your Mayan sign in the different 4 colours, the red, white, blue and yellow, which are also your 13-year cycles as well. So and it's so mind-blowing how this all works. So you know that a very high consciousness has created this as a process for us to use at this time. So yellow human, yellow solar human is the gateway, and it goes back to yellow human, which is here, and the yellow human 13-day process in the white one. And in the ebooks that I do, I cross-reference all these dates so that we can really identify when they are and very specific events that happen to us at that time. Because the universe is always showing us what we need to know. And the more that we learn how to pay attention and work with it becomes more and more magical. So that is also an akashic record. All of these are akashic records, starting with White World Bridger, all the grey squares. So we're going to go through the alchemy of White World Bridger, leaving the old worlds behind. We have got day 4 is Blue Hand, how to be self-existing and use these tools to shape our destiny, to be our highest potentiality. Mastering being a yellow star, the star that we really are. Then on day 6, we have got red rhythmic moon, so getting into the rhythm of authenticity and being a beacon of light, and also stopping projecting our stories onto other people and recognizing that people are doing that to us as well and just pointing that out. White resonant dog, what's resonating with Sirius star rather than the ancestral patterning. How can we come into more and more unconditional love through healing our stuff? And day 8, of course, is the previous wave spell. As always, you're integrating that, Blue Monkey. And then day 10 is a manifestation of, are we creating heaven on earth? So that's a manifestation going back to the 52-day process of Red Skywalker, where we see where we actually are then, what's happening for us. Then we've got White Spectral Wizard and Blue Crystal Eagle, and then ending in Yellow Cosmic Warrior. So we're going from what are we attracting for our star seed energy today with this full moon, and how can we expand on that? How can we release all our gifts, share with other people, live a magical life? And by the time we get to the 13th day, the Yellow Cosmic Warrior, how are we enjoying being on the heart path, surrendering to our spiritual self who is wise, allowing ourselves to be guided, and also remembering that Yellow Warrior is Saturn led, and Saturn will be going direct on October the 23rd, I think it is. So, a few days after, it's preparing us for Red Earth energy and the biggie of Scorpio. So it's a very exciting time to be alive. It's challenging the conditioning. That's all we've got to remember. It's challenging our conditioning. It's challenging our belief system. It's giving us a cosmic push so we can start to live in a very different way as human beings, in a way that is free from the power imbalances, from the struggles, and we absolutely can do this journey at this time. So lots of love to you all, and I hope that you're enjoying the autumn, the fall, and allowing yourself to be in a place of grace, no matter what the weather or the circumstances. The more that we know ourselves, the more that we trust the process and shine that light really bright. Bye for now.